Hello everybody and welcome back to the Brightworks, another match of Beyond Our Reason. Hope you grab a snack and a drink for this one by pausing and unpausing shenanigans. I'll assume you have, because today is going to be a little bit of a longer one. This match, played on one of my favorite maps of all time, goes by the name of Ascendancy. Now we have spawning over here on the right hand side, right on the front lines. Representing the blue team is a Cortex commander, goes by the name of Mr. McLovin. Taking a break from civic service, I suppose, to try and bring us some very good Beyond All Reason gameplay, or the very best that they have to offer at the very least. OS skills definitely on the lower end of this match, so we'll be taking it easy, taking it breezy, trying to walk on through this game. Maybe we'll find some stuff to learn, and maybe we'll just enjoy some of the carnage along the way. All the way on the northern side of the map, representing the red team is a Armada commander. We're kind of backwards here for the backwards right now. That's what I was thinking of for the blue and red team right now. But anyways, we do have a red team commander representing the red team. That's no surprise, but they are an Armada player. Goes by the name of TCMA Games. Going to be spawning on this northern section, which does mean you get up your metal extractors and your bot lab pretty quickly here, or in this case, a vehicle lab, because you only have to build 2 of those metal extractors. Yeah, you get the 3.0s, the 3.1s over here, whereas some of the ones in the backline you get a little bit less. You get 2.1s all over the place. Eventually, you're going to end up with about the same economy, a little bit more for these players over here. But of course, you have to fight over a big, wide open area as well. So you get more metal, but you have to fight a whole lot more aggressively to have it as well. Definitely means we should expect to see a lot of aggression right along this midline that's been conveniently drawn out right here by Shaola, or Shaola? Shaola, we'll go with Shaola. The 13 true skill tan player here on the red side of the map. Going to be spawning in the backline right now. Definitely typically an air spot for the tan commander here. Expect to see some airplanes at some point. Well, actually that's not true. Usually actually a tech spot. Yeah, okay, we do have a T2 lab queued up right now. It's a very early T2 lab. This is the air spot. So Elena Nito. Yeah, there's 2 N's right there. So Elena Nito, going to be the maroon commander here, flying in the skies for the red team. All the way on the other side of the map, it's going to be the cyan green commander, or the lime green commander, Swagalord, who's going to be, I feel like there should be like an X_X, X_X, like, you know, the old Xbox gamer tag rules. Anyways, Swagalord here, the green commander, going to be taken to the skies here for the blue. Cortex air start for the red team, or sorry, for the blue team, and an Armada one for the red. All right. First vehicles across the map right here. Wake and Bake is going to find, well, 2 of those rovers up on that northern side. One of them will survive the commander's onslaught, though. 2 of them in total managed to make it through. Oh, nice citizen's arrest right there, sending the Lazarus to try and capture one of those rovers that was smoking and smoldering here. Yeah, we're not going to get it. These rovers could certainly be painful. Okay, construction turret to eat these up is also quite nice here. Excellent crisis manager. Ooh, okay. Single mechs goes down, but otherwise excellent crisis management right here from the powder blue commander, Wake and Bake. We still have the single rover. Oh no. Oh no. 13%. It only takes 1 more hit. Okay, he is gonna get it. Okay. You know, 1 metal extractor, excusable. 2 metal extractors. That definitely burns. Now, that is quite nice, though. Actually, oh, well, okay. This is... We've kind of crossed our wires here. If you res and reclaim at the same time, what you end up doing is slurping metal out of the building and putting it back in at the same time. You get yourself caught in a feedback loop. I liked the res right there. I think the res was a great idea. Going for the reconstruction. Gonna be a lot harder. Obviously, losing those metal extractors means you have a lot less metal income. And those metal extractors are going to come up a whole lot slower. It doesn't help that we're still building bots over here. We definitely need to prioritize the metal extractor output. Red Commander, TCMA Games, or otherwise known as TCMA from here on out, going to be claiming these forward metal extractor spots. Did we transport or just walk our way up here? I think we just walked all the way forward here. I don't mind it one bit. We can always use a constructor like we're doing right here to just capture all the mexes in the back. That'll slowly but surely be upgrading the economy over time, and it's certainly what you're looking for as a vehicle player. You need a whole lot more metal than a bot level player to get the same amount of units out on the field. So it's one of those things that you do have to consider. You're essentially looking to snowball your forces as rapidly as possible in order to eventually overwhelm anybody, whether they're vehicles or bots. That's kind of a general rule of thumb for this game, but it tends to be the case for vehicle players up against bot players, because that snowball hinges on using the extra health in order to keep a lot of your units alive. Scouser, the yellow commander, has flown... Well, actually, I don't think they were given a transport. Usually we see a transport handed over here. They've instead just walked their way up this hill. No problem, though, because the green commander hasn't even left their main base. Yeah, Roth's still in the backline building advanced solar panels here. Absolutely critical that you take this hill. This hill is absolutely worth dying over. If you have to die to capture this hill, and by die, I guess I mean just lose your commander over it, whatever you do in order to capture this hill maybe is a clearer way of saying that it's extremely important, because from this position, obviously you get this massive overlook right here, and those LRPCs can essentially hit anywhere on the map from up on this hill. They also can detect anything. If you put a radar up on that hill, it can see out for miles and miles. Okay, this is cheeky. Swaglord transporting a commander. There is a fighter plane out here. Sorry, multiple fighter planes. Yeah, all right. Very nice catch right there. Swaglord loses the commander to a bunch of fighters that were patrolling up and down the red line right here. Really nicely done by the Maroon commander. Wasn't even really a good micro. It was just having the right unit in the right spot at the right time, and that's definitely an APM efficient way of keeping that going. This commander, however, is going to be difficult to retrieve. You can see him hanging on to the side of this wall here, kind of clinging to it to the side like Spider-Man. It's not exactly a standard move, but definitely works. McLovin was in a little bit of trouble, but with a couple killer D-guns does manage to save themselves from getting surrounded here by a bunch of those grunts that were pushing forward from the light pink commander, or the powder pink commander right here. Meanwhile, Ingvar Play, the hot pink commander, has done an excellent job of capturing all these metal extractors over here. We've got 2 up and running, contributing an excellent 6 metal per second back to the forces of the hot pink commander, who is actually overflowing quite a lot of metal right now. Oh yeah, that's a bummer. Why are we overflow? Oh, we just don't have much build power over here. Okay. Well, okay, here's the thing. Normally this many solar panels, and in fact, even in this case, this many solar panels is a little disgruntling to see, but I don't hate it. And I only don't hate it because we do have so much metal in the bank that we could go for a whole bunch of build power right now and then rectify this entire situation. We can turn all this into advanced solar panels and then eat all these up. Like, think about it like this. You could transition into 2 or 3 advanced solar panels without energy stalling yourself, and then go into eating up all of these and go into T2. And effectively, you should be able to afford basically all of that by the time that you finish the build power and finish building all the solar panels and all that. You'll have generated the remainder metal that you need in order to do all that. Ingvar Play, however, continuing to build T1 solar panels, continuing to bump out T1 units off of just a single constructor in the backline. Definitely need to see some of those construction bots up and coming here if we're going to survive on the front line. Mesa's a great unit as far as brawling and duking it out goes, but they don't have the range to compete with those Rocketeers, so I do like Half Robot's army a little bit better. It could use the supplementation of a couple of res bots, though. 2, 3, or 4 of those res bots in the backline here to patch all this up turns this army from a slow-moving, grindy, kind of wear them down style of army to actually a much more aggressive army that can trade out relatively efficiently, because even if a couple of those rocket bots rather go down, the res bots, of course, can just pick them back up, and all is well. LOTs, effectively worthless on the front line at this point. As soon as your opponent goes into a whole bunch of those Rocketeers, you have to start trading out with units as opposed to trading out with LLTs, static defense, that sort of thing. Not sure what that Deegan was trying to do. Maybe just catch a couple of these units here. This is great, though. The Rocketeers dipping into combat and then retreating back, staying full health here. Nice repair right there by Half Robot, who did, well, queue it up for just a half a second. Yeah, I like the moves right there from the Purple Commander. Me air. I guess an air player at heart here. Instead, going for tanks on the battlefield has full-fledged won the lane right now as far as the positional advantage is going. It's important that he has, because you have to remember that these 2 players are in line with each other. So as soon as one of these falls back, it opens up the lane right here, and then suddenly the pressure would be applied on multiple fronts to, say for instance, the blue commander as soon as this opens up. Now there's no reason these brown units shouldn't be doing exactly that, just pushing in from this angle and trying to barrage them on that northern front, or that southern flank of the blue commander there. I'd love to see it. We're throwing away these tanks right here. I can't help but wonder if this isn't the most efficient use of resources right now. Heavy laser tower is up, so that's quite nice to at the very least thwart these tanks from pushing any further, but all this reclaim is just going back to the cyan commander, so even though we're losing the tanks, it's not the end of the world as long as that metal goes back into the blue economy eventually, but it can definitely hurt not getting that back as the bot player. If it goes back to the blue commander, it's effectively nothing lost, nothing gained. If it goes back to the orange commander, then they start to gain an advantage. As a bot player, you're looking for every advantage you can take, is why that's important. You need it if you're going to go up against vehicles. One of those kind of uncomfortable things to master about Beyond All Reason is the imbalance between vehicles and bots. Of course, I don't mean imbalance on a grander scale, I just mean one-on-one, a medium tank is going to beat a Mace or even a Centurion, maybe? Well, I don't know. Centurions are pretty heavy. Interesting that we're seeing them on the front lines here. They are anti-swarm bot. I could have sworn that at some point they were called a medium infantry bot. But anywho, any cahoodle. We do have these rocket bots eventually breaking through all this. Despite the lack of res bots right here, it's not really going to matter. Half Robot just more than happy to replace those forces And suddenly the blue team has done an excellent job of pushing forward. So the blue line looking quite nice, more or less sketched out like that. But that's really all the important part. I mean, you can imagine the halfway line being right here, but really the key things are these 3 metal extractors and the 1 metal extractor here. As long as, oh, and the metal extractor here as well. As long as all these are under control, it does mean that the blue team has a nice little metal advantage going into this here. You can see that referenced over here on the top right-hand side. Incisors on a breakthrough. Exploiter is quite sturdy. Not the pinnacle of DPS, though. He certainly could be replaced by something a little sturdier, say for instance a flamethrower turret. Sturdier may be the wrong word there. Something that can do a little more damage. That's what I do really mean. Hey, you know what? I think those incisors did enough, though. They broke through, they killed a bunch of metal extractors, they thwarted the army of the brown commander here, who is very slow and up and coming. We do have the T2 transition up right now. Mauser aren't on their way to the front. That's a critical mistake. You need those Mauser as quick on the front line as you possibly can get them. This army right here from both the the cyan commander as well as the lavender commander, both of their armies, even combined, wouldn't stand up to a couple of Mauser firing away, just because those Mauser do so much damage, even against the T1, even the medium tanks, really. And then they will evaporate just about everything else as well. The shell shockers, the lasher, it all crumbles just because of the range. Damage and range, really the only numbers that matter here. The Mauser have both. Love the lightning tower here, actually. Yeah, lightning tower is pretty good against medium tanks. They're a bit of a weird tower because they're sort of an anti-swarm tower, but they're also quite good against single targets. They strike a killer balance between the two somewhere. There we go. There is one Mauser on the front line. Why did we send one Mauser but not the others, I wonder? Either way, eventually the other two are going to hit the fronts here. Hopefully we send a T2 constructor to our orange teammate in the back line. If you're going to go so greedy for a T2 that you essentially rely on your teammate to go and be the entire front line for the entire, what has it been now, about 11 minutes of the game, you absolutely owe them a T2 constructor. No doubt about that. Yeah, this is the trick here. You can see TCMA going for a little bit of a squeeze right here on the purple commander. Now bringing some of those bots, vehicles down to fire away at the purple commander. Actually might get the snipe here. Oh, might get the snipe here. Beautiful snipe right there. TCMA loses a whole bunch of those units right there, but taking out the purple commander really opens up his lane. Ingvar play is already up to T2 as well here. We do have the radar jammer bot, and eventually those T2 units are going to be coming out of that lab right here as soon as the T2 mechs are up and running. All is looking quite well here. Amex coming up right here on the hillside for Scouser, who's essentially been left uncontested. I'd love to see an air transition here. Or effectively any kind of transition. A couple of spider bots wouldn't be the end of the world either, just to kind of crawl along the hills and apply some asymmetric pressure across the battlefield. Always important to keep in mind the options you have once you tech up to the next tier. You have wall climbing bots, you have spy bots, you have siege bots, you have all sorts of different stuff, and yet it's tricky to keep it all in mind, but definitely the mark of a good commander is one who knows their strategic assets. I talk about that a lot when I talk about compositions in this game. This is not a game like, for instance, StarCraft, which is all about hard counters, and hard counters. Beyond Our Reason is much more of a compositions and effective roles sort of a strategy game. You're much more worried about what your composition is able to achieve at any one given time than what unit exactly is a part of your composition. What do I mean by that? Well, for instance, the Hound is great as a siege unit and an assault unit. So when you just have raw Hounds, you're going to be pretty good at, for instance, engaging against slower, lower tier armies. But you don't really have a lot of health with this army, so you wouldn't be particularly keen to break any front lines with this sort of thing. You also don't have a lot of speed with it. So you might vary your composition by injecting welders, for instance, or if you wanted some more speed, you might go for some sprinters. That would allow you to outmaneuver your opponent. Start thinking about strategic movements as opposed to just strategic unit placements. Little details all the way, and I'm speaking like an authority figure, but I'm constantly figuring these things out, just as much as I'm sure all the rest of us are. It's one of those lovely things about this game. Beyond Our Reason is still a game that is healthily in development. There's a substantial community base and feedback and all that sort of stuff, so the game rapidly evolves. That's why it's important to stay up to date. One of the ways you can do that is by subscribing, watching the daily Beyond Our Reason casts, keep you fairly well in the loop. I try to cast some pretty recent games. Every once in a while I'll look at an older one that comes up, but fairly often these are pretty much cutting edge games. Oh, some bombers. Just about to peel away from this army, but the bombers do connect over here. I actually don't mind it. We've seen how effective the bombers can really be against the medium tanks, which surprised me. I didn't know about that, maybe case in point for what I was saying earlier. But yeah, the bombers can actually do some serious work against medium tanks. Only takes a couple, and because the medium tanks tend to clump up once they get into an engagement, you end up kind of skewing your tanks towards one side or another, and eventually you end up with these little tank balls. If you can manage to bomb those, it can be really, really dramatically efficient. Here we go. T2 was eventually handed out over here to the Orange Commander. Didn't see if the Orange Commander paid for it or not, but either way, those T2 metal extractors are going to be coming up slowly but surely. Me Air should be well in the midst of a T2 transition as well. And indeed, as we check back in on the Cyan Commander, we already have some T2 units headed out. For instance, the Tsar, as well as a Negotiator, headed across the map right here. Going to start sending some pressure in that direction. Would love to see some Salamanders, though. It's one of those things to remember as an Armada Commander, is just how beefy this bad boy is. The 350 metal, 4,775 energy Salamander, medium heat ray amphibious tank. Definitely one of those tanks that looks a lot worse than it is. It's an extremely powerful unit. It's extremely, extremely good. One of those sort of sleeper tanks that we definitely see the pros use a whole lot, but in these lower level lobbies they tend to avoid. Not sure exactly why. I feel like as soon as you use one for the first time, as soon as you see a Salamander survive a sharpshooter blast for the first time, I think it should pretty much sell you on the unit. Anywho, Salamanders, they're great. They're amphibious, they fire a little laser beam, they're well within their ranks as a T2 unit. A couple of unescorted bombers over here are going to be absolutely demolished by the beautiful airwave right there from the Maroon Commander. Nice catch. Those bombers were effectively handed away, but it doesn't really matter as long as they were blasted to smithereens. This is what I was talking about, that medium tank ball. Yeah. Bombers trying. Well, trying. Keyword there, I suppose. T2 Mauser have hit the front lines, and just goes to show how devastating these are on the front. You have the medium tank up in the front for a little bit of sustain, and then you have the Mauser in the back line contributing so much beloved firepower. Bombers completely whiffing that deployment right there. There we go, that's a little better. Connecting with some of those Mauser, yeah, that works pretty good too, actually. Those bombs do connect with the Mauser when they're balled up. You can do quite a lot of damage. Yeah, I like it. Oftentimes I neglect the T1 Armada bomber. The Stormbringer? Yes, the Stormbringer. Whirlwind is the Cortex one. The Stormbringer, the Armada bomber. Its design is essentially meant for carpet bombing, so you can fill a massive area with a whole bunch of bombs all over the place. It's alright. I think typically in the early game you want to snipe very strategic sources. You want to snipe metal extractors, you want to snipe wind turbines, you want to snipe those relatively squishy targets. And sometimes you'll bomb those with the Stormbringer and it just won't kill them in a single bombing run. Part of that is definitely user error, but there's something to be said for those very high impact bombs that the Cortex planes drop. Either way, these T2 bots are going to struggle quite a lot against the T2 vehicles over here. Yeah, there go those Stormbringers. Man, maybe I discounted them for a little less than what they're actually worth. Lightning turrets putting in so much work over here. Mauser, definitely the solid foundation of what this hold is built off of. But the lightning turret's doing an excellent job, and of course once they close back up, they're extremely easy to heal back up to full, and they're, oh, nice EMP bombing. By the way, once they close up, they're very easy to heal back to full. They have a little bit of innate armor tied into them, and then they can also, well, they don't have a whole lot of health, so once they start getting repaired, they're pretty easy to patch back up. Love the EMP bombers. Well, they need to be spread out a little more, but I love them nonetheless here. Paralyzing at the very least a whole bunch of this army. Do we have sharpshooters in the mix here? Nope, just good old-fashioned Bull, Mauser, Rocketeer. Oh, we EMP'd a plane right there. Saw that out of the corner of my eye, but yeah, somehow or another we accidentally deployed an EMP bomb on top of an enemy fighter. Oftentimes we see bombers accidentally deploy their bombs on top of enemy fighters, but that's a new one. I guess technically that's what happened, but it is funny. Me here going for the D-gun of all D-guns. Beautiful cleave right there. My goodness, what was that? 6 tanks, 5 bulls right there? Easily a couple thousand metal right down the drain for the Orange Commander. Now the Blue Commander, the Cyan Commander will go down for it, but man, that's about as good of a D-gun as you could ever possibly hope for. So much metal down the drain right there for the Brown Commander, who is going into a fusion reactor here. I don't mind that either. Going to start upping the energy team, as it were. I swear I hear sharpshooters somewhere on the map, but I just can't find them. Oh no, Tremor was thrown away. Oh no. Tremor is extremely expensive. I think it's about 2,000 metal to build one of those bad boys. Let's double check that real quick. Yeah, 1850 to build a Tremor. It was just kind of thrown away on the front lines. It's definitely not what you want to do with those. Had to be very careful with those strategic assets. Ooh, EMP bombers get one last bombing run off before they are shot down by the fighters, but actually a killer bombing run. Yeah, they managed to hit some of those. Ooh, nuke across the map, by the way. They managed to hit some of those bulls over here. That nuke. Oh, I see what happened. Oh, that's so unfortunate. So what happened here? Hold on, let me explain this. Nuclear missile was launched here by the Cyan Green commander, fired it up into the air, and because of the angle that it collided at, it was targeting the maroon base over here. It ended up colliding with the mountain right here that's protecting the maroon commander, sparing them from thermonuclear detonation. So if that angle had been, you can see the angle right here if I just draw a line between these two. You can see it just like that. If that angle had been just a little bit shallower over in this direction, it wouldn't have collided with the mountain. That is so unfortunate right there for the Cyan Green commander. At this point, everyone's reaction in the game should be to build an anti-nuke just about as lickety-split as possible. There we go. Red commander starts one up here, 30 seconds or so. The Armada nuke does charge quite fast. We're about halfway through another nuke right now. I would say probably you get an anti-nuke up immediately. Anybody should be fine over here. Whoops, EMP bombing. Trying to click around the minimap here, but I ended up clicking the wrong spot. EMP bombing connects with some more of these Mauser over here. EMP bombers, absolutely the great equalizer. Shutting down so many of the forces right here for the blue team. An Armada T2 air player has the potential to make everyone else on the team drastically more efficient. The trade-off being, of course, a Cortex air player has the potential to just kill the enemy team. Trade-offs, I suppose. As a fellow or a thorough Armada enjoyer, I will say I prefer the strategic implications of the EMP bomber and the EMP transport and all that sort of stuff. But there is something to be said for the satisfaction of unleashing 10 dragons on somebody's base and watching as they helplessly shoot up with their pathetic flak cannons to essentially no avail. Quaker firing away over here. Can I just say what a wonderful change it was that the Quaker got their little update? They didn't change a whole lot, they just slowed down the fire rate and increased the damage output. Effectively left it unchanged as far as raw DPS goes. Maybe they got a little bit of a buff or a nerf. There might have been a slight change there, but overall, as far as I take it, there's essentially no change. But it's definitely more Cortex thematic. I feel like Cortex would definitely choose the 380 over the 120 if given the choice. Oh, yeah, that hurts. Big nuke connects against TCMA's front line, shredding apart all the static defense and every other unit that wasn't sturdy enough to survive it or far enough from the initial radius. Suddenly, just like that, the Powder Blue Commander has the go-ahead to push on forward. Ahem, the go-ahead to push on forward. Okay, there we go. Gotta be careful. Those fat boys, definitely well known for their friendly fire. I hear EMP bombers, I flick to EMP bombers. I'm sorry, they're just so good. They're one of those units that can make essentially any unit in the game extremely efficient. Love the butlers here to eat all this up. Butlers are, of course, capable of building metal extractors, so they're great for reclaiming off the front lines because it also means you can sneak off some metal extractors on these metal points that you're otherwise just trying to reclaim from. Bit of a cheeky little investment right there. You can tell the purple player has been absolutely fed up with the EMP bombers, as we now have a solid 9 anti-air flak shredders. Love to see it. I definitely know that feeling. Alright, blue team. Giving up a whole bunch of space right here to go into T3. T3 gantry is almost up and running right here for the blue commander. We do have the demon, of course. I'm not sure why they changed the profile pick. I really like the old one a lot better. Anywho, demon costing 6,000 metal. Pretty hefty investment for a unit that is extremely powerful. You get what you pay for, I suppose. The thing about EMP bombers is they can usually get away with EMP bombing flak trucks. Yeah, I mean, you can see those 3 bombers probably would have been able to deploy their payload over here. Ooh. Fat Boy's getting some beefy connections. Radar bot goes away. That's quite nice. Gets one more shot off before it dies. Are we? No. Airburst, right? Oh, no. I thought I heard a nuclear detonation. It was the energy converters in the backline right here. My minimap spotting has been not on par today, but I suppose, you know, these pawns are quite tiny. Trying my best out here. That was an airburst nuclear bomb. I recognize that sound. Yeah, pawns. Untouched. Build power. Dead as a doornail. We are dead in the water right here for the Orange Commander. All this firepower and effectively no way to use it. We have the energy, so at the very least, I guess the sharpshooters could keep pushing forward right here. We need build power immediately, though. We do have the constructors. Go ahead. Construction turrets. You're aiming for a construction turret. We don't need to stop building this either. We can just... Okay, well, yeah, there we go. About 6 construction turrets will get you back into the game here. I am noticing a distinct lack of anti-nuke, though. I have to say. This nuke still has crazy potential. Already a bronze chevron hero. That's a lot of lighting turrets. Yeah, I mean, sure. Bringing down some of those bulls right there. Lighting turrets for 340 versus the bulls 980, is it? 950? Yeah, I think that might actually have been an efficient trade right there. Wake and Bake trying to move a commander into position. Like that play a little bit better here. Big old airwave scout coming out right now. Love to see it. Don't have any spy bots for these sharpshooters, so they are struggling a little bit. But overall, they'll be clicking their rifles against those Zars. And I think this will all end up well. Ah, yeah, those sharpshooters, they really are capable of so much work. You just have to keep them alive. There we go. Beautiful EMPs once again. They cut down that trimmer, and the sharpshooters just going to be working away at a whole bunch of this stuff. Very nicely done. Love to see it. Goes to show just how powerful those sharpshooters really can be. A couple of ticks spammed out in front of them as well could be extremely useful. Just for the vision scouting and denying the enemy shooting into your more squishy units. We do have a row of sharpshooters over here as well to blast down the Shiva, so at the very least these initial T3 will be dealt with. Glad to see that we're prepared. I knew that was going to happen. I just knew it. I'll be honest, I'm more interested in the EMP bombing than I am in the nuking. Maybe that's not fair to you, though. Maybe you like to see the big explosions, and I can't deny you that. Either way, the Orange Commander suffering from not remembering that anti-nuke, despite multiple nukes going off at this point in the game. I think about 3 or 4 had been fired by the time that nuke connected with the Orange Commander. It's about time everybody builds an anti-nuke. I'm frankly quite surprised that we haven't gotten an anti-nuke. This, by the way, has been going on in the bottom corner for quite some time. We have a T1 lab just spamming out a whole bunch of pawns over here. Cool to see, I suppose. Resbot's picking up some of the fallen units over here. That's also nice, especially since a lot of these are Fat Boys. Actually, yeah, there's a lot of Fat Boys over here. Fat Boys quite expensive to field. They are 1,400 metal apiece. Definitely an expensive unit to put on the field, and quite powerful. They shell away from quite a long range, and they do a huge impulse blast. They're sort of a armada parallel to the Tsar. I don't want to say an equivalent, because they really don't fill the same roles, but they are parallel to the Tsar in a lot of ways. EMP bombers to try and deal with a bunch of these units in the back, and eventually Bulls will clean all that up, by the way. Always good to see. Big scout wave sent across over here. Maybe we'll check out the red team's vision. Okay. That's a decent enough scout. We kind of know where everybody's at just based on intuition here, right? I mean, you can sort of detect the blue players over here, and the purple must be around here. Seafoam green must be kind of lingering in this direction, and then, of course, we have the powder blue and the dark green. Yep. The T1 units push forward right here. My friend, these are full-blown T2 defenses. No way in hell that pushing up this hill into these lines of T2 defenses are you ever going to break this. Couple of cheeky termites do sneak around, but the commander is here as well, and it's more than happy to just blast away at any of those with the D-gun. I was a little bit worried we didn't even have T2 right here for Roth, who is not spending their metal. That's a killer mistake. Gotta remember to spend that metal, even if it's just queuing up some ridiculous queue, like a whole bunch of aphises or something. Any way you can spend that metal. If you know that you don't have the APM to spend your metal, nothing wrong with that personally. There's just ways around it. There's just low APM ways around it, like spending your metal on ridiculously expensive things and then forgetting about it. Always better to come back into the game 10 minutes later after regaining your APM, losing your units on the front, for instance, and then suddenly you have a whole bunch of APM to spare, and realizing, hey, I've actually set up my economy to succeed my further attempts. A little bit of future sight goes a long way. Bulls and Mausers here. Mid lane of the map. We do have a nice little mix of starlights over here. I wonder why we're not using those. Starlights are quite powerful. Essentially a mobile starlight. Sorry, a mobile pulsar. Sharpshooters over here are actually quite nice. Obviously, for blasting away any more T3 that should come out. They're a expensive choice to deal with this spam of T1 scouts, but well, at the very least, they're stopping them. I think technically, I did the math on this one time, and I think technically you lose money if you kill a scout with a sharpshooter, because the sharpshooter costs 1,000 energy per shot, and the scout costs 26 metal plus 270 energy. And well, that's a nice nuke right there. Take out all those sharpshooters, sure. Open up the lines for T3 for the blue team. Push, 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 and I think you've got the win. This lower lab was taken out, by the way, on the southern side. At 70 metal per energy, or sorry, 70 energy per metal. And it backwards a little bit there. You're looking at an overall cost on the Rascal of like something like 30 metal. It's pretty close. Southern side does look like it's cleaned up though. Scout planes flying onto the base over here. Glad to see it. Oftentimes lack of scouting can lead to a lot of, well, missed opportunities, to say it politely. Demons are paralyzable. Oh no. Struggling with that word until I find a good way to say that. You are able to paralyze demons is how I need to say that sentence. In other words, EMP bombers are going to be fabulous here. Do we have... Oh yeah, we do have some. Okay. We have 5 EMP bombers available right now. We need to pull them. We need to pull them. The Maroon Commander has been absolutely on top of it with the EMP bombing so far this game. We definitely need to see them sent down south here, otherwise these demons are just going to run through the entire southern side of the map. Newbie Bones, as well as Shaola, they're definitely in position here to intercept the demons, but we don't have nearly enough energy. Newbie Bones funding all this T1, all this T2 off of a very, very lackluster T1 economy. Oh, we're not going to cloak and D-gun, are we? Newbie Bones, true to the name, will find the demon and its flamethrower and meet an early demise. The solution here is to stop producing out of this, cloak yourself, and then go for the D-gun, like, for instance, Shala is doing right here. There we go. EMP bombers to the rescue, and the other demon does get paralyzed. Nicely done right there. Maroon Commander sparing the life right here of the Pink Commander, who's in desperate need of a little bit of energy here. Probably wondering why on earth they don't have enough energy. Oh, there goes another nuke across the map. Will we learn? Will we build some mobile anti-nukes? As far as I can tell right now, the answer is definitely no. The solution here is to go for advanced solar panels, and then eventually into fusion reactors, and then eventually into advanced fusion reactors. That's the energy lineup. The energy tier list. It's nice. Nobody has to make tier lists for this game because it's all tiered for you. It's all well organized already, just implicit to the game's natural organization system. Marauders sneaky beacon their way up on the northern side. Did we scout these, or did we just see red dots? We just see red dots. This is going to be so unfortunate. Oh, no. Yeah, the Powder Blue Commander is in for a rude awakening when they finally discover what actually is over on this side. Marauder it is, and that is never a comfortable sight to see so close to your back line right here. LLT is not going to quite cut it against these Marauder. These Marauder are definitely enough to deal with this T2 army. Or this T2 facility, pardon me. Maybe some sharpshooter production wouldn't be the end of the world here. Going for 2, 3, 4 sharpshooter wouldn't be the worst idea. We do, meanwhile, have a demon on the other side of the map. Nicely called out by the blue commander, by the way, to let the air player know not to let that demon die. Shifts the blame a little bit if suddenly a bunch of EMP bomber shows up. Only so much you can do over enemy territory with your airplanes, though. That's the other trick. EMP bombers are actually sent over here from the Maroon Commander. Oh, that's cheeky. Alright. I don't mind it one bit. I mean, if we're gonna go for some bombing, we might as well go for some bombing on the other side of the map. EMP bombers looking for a juicy connection, but they are shot down over here. Doesn't matter, though. The Marauder have run through this base. We haven't dealt with the demon on the other side, though. Vanguard are walking on up on the base here of the Green Commander, who was definitely not expecting a full-blown T3 push. Equipped maybe for T2 at the very most here, but the Vanguard are going to start showing away here at the Green Commander. They're not exactly an assault unit. Not great for that sort of thing. Razorbacks will eventually clean all this up on the northern side here, at the very least, is quite nice. These Vanguard have been tremendous, though. We need a couple of Marauder to finish off this base, or we could just send the Ticks in. The Ticks would actually work just fine. We are full into the T3 game, though. Nice little cinematic battle here as we see the Razorbacks blasting away at a whole bunch of these Marauder. There's a Vanguard on the front line as well to shell away from long range. Extremely capable unit, that. The Vanguard, I mean. One of the problems the Vanguard has is that when it turns, it can't move its head at the same speed that it turns. It's a little bit slower. What that means is that you end up in a weird situation where if you kite too much with the Vanguard, there you go, you can sort of see it right there. If you kite too much with the Vanguard, it ends up never being able to fire, which is certainly a little bit of a problem. Demons on the southern side, slowly burning in. Need to nuke up in the air. Finally intercepting those ballistic missiles. My goodness, what a bummer, though, how much damage has been done with those nukes already this game. Pink base is wiped out here by the demon that was sent through. Suppose the air player did its job, keeping that demon alive here. Shala will get the D-gun, pardon me, on one of those. Oh, a little bit of friendly fire from the bombers, though, does mean that the Tan Commander goes up in smoke. Pink Commander was already dead, and no chance of res bots right here for the light pink, or the powder pink Commander. These T2 bombers are not bad, it's just not enough. Suddenly this demon breaks into the back line. Now it is worth noting here, he does not see those fusion reactors right here. So at the very least the fusion reactors will remain safe just for the fact that they are invisible to the blue unit that pushed in there. Not losing the economy, is it cost efficient relative to how much more you pay for the fusion reactors? I see probably yes. Otherwise the Tank Commander would be effectively out of this game right now. Surely with a little better prioritization on that demon. Not that there was a better priority. I do mean if the fusions were uncloaked, that is. I think it would probably work quite nicely. Battle on the left-hand side, but the Vanguard have snuck around on the right-hand side, creepy crawling their way into the back line. They hit the air player quite hard in the back here. Another demon over here, though. I was about to say, I wonder why it's not targeting down the fusions, but of course, it doesn't see the fusions. Probably wondering how on earth the Tan Commander is affording this much production without actually having an economy. The secret lies in the cloaked fusion reactor. That's hidden Armada tech. It's well classified, kept deep out of deep out of Cortex hands. The southern side could do with quite a bit more aggression. And to be fair, this base was nuked back to the Stone Age here on the bottom side, so the Orange Commander is still rebuilding here, but funny enough, hasn't gone ahead and rebuilt their main facility. Killer bombing run pushes through the middle of the map right here. It takes out the air player on this side, though, so we're neck and neck now. No air player for either team means that both teams are essentially even. A whole bunch of Vanguards coming up over on this side as well, which is always cool to see. There's another bomber over on that side. I wonder if we're going to go for a consecutive bombing run over on the red side of the map. Starlights only have to fire at that fusion reactor a couple of times. We're using the Thor EMP missile? My goodness. TCMA, maybe 25 true skill and silver-tailed on the chevrons. Definitely a pro player at heart. Were those EMP missiles the end-all be-all of this situation? I don't think so. But anytime I see someone use a EMP missile on the Thor, it does get me excited. Thor ready to run back into this base over here. Bombers almost took out this base for the... Oh, might finish the job. Oh, might finish the job. Boom goes the base for the Red Commander right there. Beautifully, beautifully done by the Cyan Commander. Equalizing this game one punch at a time here. My goodness. Vanguard in the back, but how about a Thor right on the front lines? This Thor does not have the energy to fire. You have to hand it off. Oh, no. The Red Commander doesn't realize it doesn't have energy to fire. You've got to hand the Thor off to somebody who has energy. Oh, well, okay. Or beg your team for energy. That works too. There we go. Big explosion in the main base of the Seafoam Green Commander. We need to hand over a fusion reactor or something to the Red Commander right now to keep this Thor firing. Thor's EMP beam does do a little bit of EMP over time, but eventually it shut down that T3 gantry, which is always quite nice. Why did we not finish off the Aphyses back here, though, is the question. A sliver of health right left on those Aphyses in the backline. Maybe the Thor thinking it can get a little bit more damage done. Just a little bit. AA turrets up here do eventually shoot down all the fighters, but they definitely wouldn't stop a bomber from coming in and deploying its payload before shooting it down, I do mean. Thor eventually cleaned up by the demons in the back. Wow. Somehow, after all that, after multiple explosions on multiple sides of the map, multiple bases going up in smoke and thermonuclear detonations, somehow we ended up at an even game here. About 700 metal for the blue team here, about 650 for the red. It's all these metal extractors that aren't taken right here. If these metal extractors were captured right here, the red team would be in a fabulous position, but unfortunately not the case. This northern side has crumbled though. I'm surprised we're still spamming ticks here, but only to this point. At some point you've got to queue them around somewhere differently, right? Surely. APM slippage is what that's called. Slowly losing track of units. Say they APM slip. Suddenly they become less important to micro than other things, and so you say that they're out of your view. This is a massive army of demons. I'd give you an explanation for how good the demons are, but I think you get to see it right here. Absolutely beautiful T3 unit. Thrilled that Armada has something, or sorry, that Cortex has something a little bit faster, a little bit more high damage, low health. Armada obviously has the Marauder, which is not very high health and not nearly as high damage as the Demon is. But Cortex had no equivalent answer for the longest time here. Why are we going into T1? Oh no. Did we get obliterated? No, I don't think so. Okay, well, for whatever reason, smart JMH in the backline here, the Lavender Commander, has decided to go for a very broad army. We're going for just about all compositions we possibly could. We've gone into T2 air, T1 air, T2 vehicles. We're even building a T3 gantry. We're going to go for a T1 lab, spamming in a whole bunch of pincers. The amphibious T1 tank. Very underwhelming tank, mind you. Not very powerful whatsoever. Effectively only good for a surprise attack. I suppose that's not fair. They are also extremely EMP resistant, which is something. Hey, you know what? There are Titans on the southern side to intercept these demons, though. Titans 1350 versus the demons 6000, so Titans should make short work of these. But let's see here. Maybe the first time I've ever seen a Titan on demon battle. I feel like they kind of pass each other a lot often. Yeah, there we go. The demons blasted to smithereens right here by these big beefy Armada boys. A beautiful little engagement right there. Excellent defense. Now it's time for offense. Let's see those go across the map here. Any day now, if we send these Titans across the map, they could definitely do quite a lot of damage. We're ready to finish the mission over here. Marauder have finally made it off of the high ground over here. They're being produced all the way up on this mountainside. They ran all the way down the hills and into the back line of the red team. And here they are, now parked for the red team's convenience. We're also parking a lot of fighters over there. Sort of inconvenient having those fighters lingering above your head, but certainly not bad to shoot some of them down with your static anti-air defenses. No reaction. No reaction here from the Brown Commander, who has all the resources necessary to shut down these demons and chooses not to. Or doesn't choose to. Take your pick. Here we go. An ignored demon is a deadly demon, and there it goes, slipping into the backline right here, and suddenly, Brown Commander, on top of those bombers coming across the map here, loses the main facility. All the production goes up. At the very least, that last Titan got bumped out, but that definitely stings for that commander, who now realizes, hey, wait a second. There's an enemy unit in my backline. Anywho. Titans of the yellow variety moving across as well. This one's going to find a demon. Hopefully we can shut that demon down. Their backpack tachyon cannon is quite powerful. Definitely doing the most damage over here. Marauder, to nobody's surprise, have wiped out this base over here. They finished the job. What is surprising is they were microed quite nicely here and managed to avoid being taken all out in that thermonuclear explosion of the Aphis. We'll have to see how this one goes over here. It was that, or we built just about 4 million of them, and it just happened not to be all caught up in the blast. Nope. Virtually no micro right there, but that's alright, because either way, the blue base goes up in smoke, and that suddenly means the red team has an advantage? Is actually incorrect. Every time I look back up at the northern part of the screen, the top right-hand corner of the screen, I always keep expecting the red team to have an advantage. I guess it's an eye for an eye, though. I mean, with this base going up because of the demon. Suvagalva, I sympathize, my friend. I sincerely sympathize. Building anti-nukes is very hard, and it's a problem that all of us struggle with. Yourself, well, or myself, well included. The problem is, this is your third time being nuked. And I sincerely recommend you invest in anti-nuke technology. The red team definitely feeling this thing now. That was the last source of massive technology over here. We do have a significant economy up on this northern side, but it isn't single-handedly game-winning. Is the red commander getting back into this game? Oh, they are. All right, TCMA gonna be clawing back here. Has a bunch of res bots that have been slowly but surely building back up an economy. We also have a Thor over here that's just been idle. Would love to see that heading across the map to try and do something. The air control is firmly in the command right here of the blue team, though. Yeah, it looks like the red team sort of tapping in, or tapping out, throwing in the towel. I get that mixed up or messed up all the time. At the very least, we have these nuclear bombers coming out, but I don't think they're prepared for just about how many fighters there actually are here for the Cyan Commander. A lot of bombers over here, too, mind you, but the fighters are the real dangerous ones, those nuclear bombers. Build the bombers, but not fighters. We do have a couple fighters here. What a bummer to send this many bombers across the map and then have them all shut down by fighters. There they go. Fighters are pulled. Actually, we do have the fighters coming forward. Hey, very nice right there from the yellow commander. Does actually pull the fighters right here. So at the very least, there's some fighter support. I don't think it's going to be enough, though. Those T1 fighters are definitely going to get outgunned right here. And wow, just evaporated in seconds. Nice reaction right there from Me Air. Living up to the name, you know. If you're going to call yourself Me_Air, I feel like you should probably be pretty good at airplay. And as far as I can tell, certainly seems that way. We are reduced now to a triple color army here for the red team and a dual color army. Well, I guess a triple color army here for the blue. There's a couple of idle demons, essentially. Mr. McLovin technically holding control over these. Another nuke up in the air. Where are we putting it? Are we sending it into the ticks? No, actually. Oh, okay. Well, we're gonna take out some metal extractors over here. I don't mind it. All these metal extractors have never been reclaimed by the red team, and it's definitely a tremendous oversight. If you're going to go this heavily into air, you might as well go into a whole bunch of air constructors. This is such a weird battle, because the red team has mass map control. Like, they have control over the entire side of the entire map. They just have no metal control. Like, they haven't rebuilt any of these metal extractors over here. So strange. So strange not to go for those metal extractors. It's free money. You just dig it out of the ground. Titan's finally getting across the map and moving forward here. Love to see it. There is a Juggernaut out, though. Juggernaut greater than Titan. Titan greater than Demon here, so in case you were confused about the hierarchy of things, there you go. I do wonder if the Demon's DPS is higher than the Juggernaut's. The Juggernaut has a crazy amount of sustain, but I do wonder if the Demon has more damage. Or does more damage, I should say. But the big nuke, sent out, up in the air. Big nuke, I mean, because it's a Cortex nuke. That might be false, actually. I think it's Armada nuke. It is an Armada nuke. Thought it was launched by the Cyan Commander. It's actually built by the, Lavender Commander here. There we go. Tight in the back line. Oh. Commander was uncloaked there for a second. Okay, Titan goes down eventually. That was pretty close. Vanguard that was over in the corner, by the way, finally realizes, hey, I can actually walk forward over here, but it's a little slow on that draw. Half Robot complaining into the chat, OMG resign, unaware of the fact that it's actually a dead even game right now. Both teams having an equivalent economy, despite the blue team not supposed to have. Yeah, I mean, I mean, you can imagine 3, 4, 5 constructors just going around on a mass metal extractor build. You could take so much metal off of the map right now, but the red team is just not interested. What a bummer. What a bummer. I'm gonna speed this game up. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and speed this game up. I know how long this game is. I saw the replay file, and the red team absolutely should have the advantage here and is clutching defeat from the jaws of victory. The nuke goes across the map. There we go. Collides with another base that doesn't exist over here. We're just gonna keep nuking the same spots over and over. Airwave coming in. Oh, fighters were late this time. Fighters were late this time. Boom, go the aphyses. Nice little hit right there. Does manage to take out the base right here of JMH_16. Finally crippling that extremely critical infrastructure right now of the blue team. Eventually some Razorbacks as well as some Titans are going to march on in here. And this is the very last commander available to the blue team. If Mi-Air wants to hold on here, he needs to protect this commander, but not going to be the case. The Titans, the Razorbacks, all the rest of it are going to be blasting it down. It's hiding in the corpse of this Titan, which is quite funny. Missiles, not so much going to care, though. Come on, guys. There we go. For a second, I wondered if the blue team was going to be able to come back into this. They absolutely should not have, with the red team controlling this much of the map. But the red team definitely throwing a crazy advantage by not claiming those metal extractors. So maybe that's the golden takeaway here. Claim your metal extractors, folks. Make sure you grab those metal extractors. Make sure you like and subscribe. I sure hope you enjoyed this cast. It took all the patience out of me. I said we were going to go easy on it, but man, some of the decision making here, brutal. I tease a lot, but I love and appreciate each and every one of you. I sure hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the very next game of Beyond All Reason. Peace out, everybody.